Hey guys, Fred here. Welcome to the CC Network Summer 2015 Q&A Part 1. Hope you're all looking forward to this. Sorry it's been a little while, but I've been ill with a cold for the last week, and the fact that I can talk again is amazing. Now, let's get on to some of your burning questions you've been waiting to answer for pretty much half a month. Let's get on with it. We start off with wrestling, then go on to miscellaneous sport, and then animation. So, if you want to see any other questions, you're going to have to wait to part 2 later on in the week, possibly next week, until I can answer those. So yeah, now we've got that out of the way, let's get on with it. The first question comes from Justin Side, who, before I get to your question, I'm just going to point this out. I still haven't heard an apology for that paedophile remark on Nature Girl 30's Q&A some week or two, maybe month ago. Me and Rico got a bit pissed and we kind of want an apology from you. I sent a message through. I want to know, okay? I just want you to apologise for it. Just saying. Anyway, Justin Side, your question here. What are your thoughts on Hulk Hogan's racist rants on blacks, him being fired and being Benoit out of the WWE? And your other question, which I'm tying in here, will we ever see him in a wrestling ring again? The thing is, to answer the latter part first, I think we will. Once it all blows over, which might take a few months, maybe years, we will see Hogan back in again. I don't want to see him back in the WWE upon his death. You know, when he dies and they have to make something, but they can't really do anything with it because, well, you know what happened. In the case of my thoughts on it, it's a really misguided thing. And honestly, I just think to myself, it's a situation that really is bothersome, because it's Hogan. It's the biggest thing in the history of wrestling, let alone a small performer. I mean, the fact that he's been Benoit out of the WWE, I think, is very harsh. I mean, sure, it's for PR purposes, but I can see why they've done it. And Hogan, I'm going to point this out, you never say things like that. It's an awful thing to do. And when I see it, it had to be a person like Hogan, a person who's old and honestly says things that he may say he doesn't mean, but my God, you caught it on tape. It's the worst possible thing. I know, behind closed doors, many, in fact, a lot of people would say they say some things like this, but my God, just the fact it was all part of a sex tape makes it even weirder on my end. Seriously, it is strange, I'll tell you. And Nature Girl 30, you had this question here on the similar front of, what are your thoughts of Hogan getting kicked out of the Hall of Fame? Well, the thing is, he hasn't been kicked out of it. He's just been PR removed, because they haven't released a statement about it. I can see where people are thinking, oh, he's been kicked out of the Hall of Fame because he's a racist. Well, there's a person who raped somebody who's currently in the Hall of Fame. There's a person who said a lot of bad things about Mexicans, and pretty much every minority under the sun who is currently in the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, not to mention you've got the possibility of Razor Ramon killed somebody, legit actually, didn't get done for murder, but he's in there. You've also got Snooker, who apparently killed somebody. So you see where I'm going for. Honestly, you've also not to mention got the people like Abdullah the Butcher, who gave tons of people Hep C and ruined their lives. You kind of see where I'm going. Also, you've got Austin, too. Beat up his wife. But you see what I mean? Hogan is Hogan, and getting kicked out of the Hall of Fame for racism, it would make the others look utter crap, wouldn't it? You think, oh, why the hell is he still there? But nonetheless, Hogan will be back in the Hall of Fame visually once all this tides over. Like I've said, he hasn't been properly kicked out, he's just been removed for PR purposes. He will be back in there, he's still on the Wikipedia page, it's still acknowledged he's a Hall of Fame member, they're just not publicly mentioning it on air. Enough said. Next question from Randy Bucetta. I hope I'm getting that name right. Was Hogan so wrong for not wanting his daughter to date a black man? He has the right, you know. You see, the thing is, Brooke can date whoever the hell she wants to date, right? The thing is, it's not right to, one, profile people, and second, want a specific type of person to marry into the family. As Rico pointed out to me in a discussion about this, he wants to select the Hogan gene pool to go in the right place, as well as get a ton of money out of it at the same time, if that was how he wanted it to go, you know, wanting to date and marry into a family of a black guy who is famous and a sportsman who has a lot of money and legacy to carry on. That's what Hogan specified that he wanted. And You shouldn't meddle in your daughter's love life if you want something out of it. You shouldn't do it, and that's the problem I have with it. Hogan, you made a rubbish decision on that part. Brooke has the right to date who she wants, just not to have a parent meddling in it like that. That's not right. That's awful. In fact, if any one of your family members ever had this dilemma, just tell them, do what you bloody want. Just don't listen to those people who are trying to influence your relationships. It's not right. Even if they have opinions, just keep it to your bloody self and don't end it up being on a sex tape. Nonetheless, Brony Loney asked me, what if instead of Sergeant Slaughter turning heel and joining the Iraq stable with the Iron Sheik, that it was Hogan doing it instead? Now, I understand, I think this was released before Hogan's crap came out. It would be an interesting thing, especially considering that back when this angle first happened, imagine Hogan, bread and butter American, goes in and fights on the other side. Imagine the heel heat. Imagine it. It would be insane. More so than what had happened with the NWO, because not only in the NWO did you have him go against the company of WCW, which was a bit crazy in its own right, but then you look at this and you think, he's going against the entire country he represents. It would be incredible. But then again, that's why it worked so much with Slaughter, because he was seen as the G.I. Joe, military-esque, America, and inevitably it worked nonetheless, because if it worked with Hogan it would have been much bigger news, understandably, but then it worked. It worked either way, so if Hogan did it, I'd expect more of a reaction, and honestly though, who the hell would you have going up against him? Warrior? Savage? There wouldn't be that much of a pool to work with, so either way it would have been interesting, but yeah, it would have been very weird. Also, to point out to some of you who are saying, hey Fred, that was a what-if question. Hey, it's a what-if question which has a logical thing in it. Just saying. Next, we go on to the first of many John Cena questions, because it wouldn't be my Q&As without them. We get back again to Randy Bucetta, asking, your thoughts on Cena's broken nose against Rollins? Was it the result of karma for him never putting over young talent and burying them? I will mention his name multiple times here, but god damn it, it's Kevin Dunn's fault. I'll get to that question in a bit, in case anyone's wondering. And, listen, accidents in wrestling happen. It wasn't karma, it was just bad timing and bad luck. And the good thing is, though, Cena's not on TV, it builds up suspense, it means Rollins can rant off. I like this. In fact, the last couple of weeks, Rollins has had one of the most entertaining and fun segments of the show every week. So that's a massive plus. Seriously, it is a huge plus. Don't tell me otherwise. Right. It's not karma. Just saying. Now, Escatero Compton, your next question, what did you think of fans wishing Cena's nose got amputated? I don't know whether to facepalm or punch any of those fans in the face. There is a problem here. You do not wish a person's nose amputated. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. It's like those people wishing Cena would retire, which, again, I'm going to get to that question in a bit. That some wrestling fans are stupid, because if it wasn't Cena, it would be Reigns. If it wasn't Reigns, it would be someone who we've never even heard of yet. I mean, you have to hate someone, but for the love of God, do not wish that kind of thing on them. It just isn't right. And those fans who want his nose to be amputated, you're sick human beings. Enough said. Now, Largest85, your thoughts on people saying that Cena buried Kevin Owens and ruined his push. Same with Rusev, saying he's a career killer. Yeah, I can kind of see what people mean by the career killer aspect, because again, I thought that Bray Wyatt would be in good space after losing to Cena at WrestleMania 30. We ended up having that proven wrong. In the case of Rusev, you couldn't really do much else, apart from winning the world title, obviously. So the route for a foreign heel wouldn't have been the best, so inevitably putting him against Cena wouldn't have ended up with the best idea anyway. Kevin Owens has the wrestling ability, the mic work, and the flexibility, in both move and career sense, to go with pretty much anyone and make a good feud out of it. He's fighting Cesaro, and he's also mixed up in all this WWE Championship crap at the moment. You see, this is the thing. He isn't buried. He's on TV every week, he is putting on good matches, and inevitably, he's entertaining the crap out of us. That's a huge thing. Seriously, he's entertaining us. What is the problem with that? Just because he's not the champion or right at the top of the company, that means he's apparently rubbish. Hey, if they're going to put Cena over somebody, I would love to have been Kevin Owens, but again, we can blame Kevin Dunn for that. So I'll get to that question, like I've said twice already, a bit later on. Now, in the case of it, yeah, I'm just going to say right now, Cena does beat talent much more than he should. I just think WWE, like the Rusev stuff, you don't need to have him go over 3 matches in a row, damn it. It's more my opinion. Now, the funnily named but always entertaining bubblegum flavoured steroids. Will Cena use his political power to de-push the shit out of Rollins like he did Owens? No, because like I've just said, Owens is still in a good place. He's putting on good matches every week. He's entertaining. He is still doing a good job, and we love him for it. You look at Rollins and think, why would WWE want to de-push a guy that is making their money, is probably one of the best heels they've got, and a guy they've put the WWE Championship on since WrestleMania? You know, why would they want that? Why would they want to get rid of Rollins? That doesn't make any sense. It feels like some people just come up with really weird ideas of thinking, oh, Cena's this all-powerful juggernaut who should never be deposed. Well, here's my problem. That formula is a problem for any company, because if you do that, no one's going to rise above a guy, even if he's crippled and injured. So, yeah, Rollins is a good heel because you could put him up against any face and it would make a good feud out of it because he knows how to speak his way through it. Having Cena de-push it would make no sense. You lose a good heel, you then gain a face at the top of the company, but then who is going to go against him? There's the problem, you see. With Rollins, you got such a good heel, he could pretty much do anything and it would work out. But seriously, Cena would not use his political power, even if he's got some, to de-push Rollins. He understands what good it's doing for the company. Your second question, again, bubblegum flavoured steroids, is Cena ever going to pass the torch to anyone, or will he be burying people by the time he was Mae Young's age? I don't even know how to comprehend these questions sometimes. Listen. Passing the torch in wrestling rarely happens. I'm going to say that again in case you can't really grasp it. It rarely happens, okay? Passing the torch, we immediately suspect will immediately happen. It didn't immediately happen when Hogan left. Bret Hart had to pick up the mantra and get it. Sure, the technical wrestling mantra went from Flair to him in that title match, but Flair technically was still wrestling for years afterwards, but it took a while for Bret to become the main man of that company, didn't it? So yeah. Then you have Austin. Was it a passing of the torch moment for him to Bret? No. It didn't feel like that at all because Bret left under unceremonious circumstances. Was it a passing of the torch from Michaels to Austin? No, because we got no real big follow-up from it. It didn't feel like that. The only time we've really felt a major passing of the torch moment was Rock versus Hogan, which felt like it. Then it ended up being put to nothing because Rock didn't wrestle very long afterwards. Passing of the torch moments are rare because they never seem to work. You have to put so much emphasis on a guy to the point where they literally become bigger than they ever could be. And you can only confirm that once they've built an audience. Sure, you have Rock going towards Cena, but then you think, well, Cena wouldn't be wrestling that long, so I can see what you're going for. He's going to have to pass a torch on at some point. He's not going to be burying people by the time he's Mae Young's age because, come on, I don't think his body could really do it. And then on top of that, here's my other problem. You need to pass it on to someone who WWE are confident with. Like I've said already, Kevin Dunn will stop that at any notion of merchandise problems. So, yeah, trying to find someone they're confident with who can usurp Cena is going to be such a long-winded task. I don't even think it's going to happen. Someone is going to have to beat Cena on a big stage to do it. I don't know when it's going to happen, who it's going to be, and everything else in between. Just going to point that out. Now, Yao Pipoca. I mentioned about Cena's retirement, so if Cena retired and announced it publicly not too long from now, would people be throwing a party celebrating his departure? No. Seriously, if you do, you're awful. Because wrestlers, no matter who we have our allegiances to, we all respect them for what they do for us. So I don't really care. Inevitably, if Cena retires, it'll be a massive thing to fill that face role, but inevitably, who would be happy with that? Seriously, the guy has entertained us non-stop and done more things for WWE than Hogan ever has, and inevitably, it would be really sad to see Cena go. And honestly, I would feel really annoyed by it because I'm thinking, well, WWE is going to find something here. What are they going to do? And it would really test my patience with them. Thinking, are they going to pick the person I think would be good, or would they pick someone else? Cena announcing his retirement would also mean we'd get the biggest finale celebration, probably until Hogan dies, or Vince dies, or inevitably when Taker retires, and you see where I'm going here. It'll be a big deal. We'll all care. We're not going to be happy throwing parties. We're not like when Margaret Thatcher died, when a few sorry people did. It's going to be a very good look back on the man's career, and we're going to think, this guy did a lot for this business. And all we're going to do is just go, well done, man, you've done well. Now let someone else have a go. Speaking of someone letting someone else have a go, Leon Pasquiote is Kevin Dunn, the cancer of the wrestling business. And should that beaver-bucked tooth prick, your words, not mine, retire or get released? Now, he's not going to get released because he's Kevin Dunn. He's Vince's right-hand man. He's never going to lose that. Then you have the notion of whether he should retire. And oh my god, the minute of hearing the news story that he wanted Owens to lose because Owens' merch sales were going up and Cena's were declining as he was losing, I don't care who you are, but in a business, surely you should make every single merch avenue, regardless of who it is, sell. If it's selling, pump that crap. Make it good. Keep the guy who's selling the merch on. Make that path good. Don't bury the path because you think, oh, the one guy who's keeping our company afloat is losing. See, this is the time where I always say, it's not Cena's fault that other wrestlers can't make it there. It's because people like Kevin Dunn, who call him fat and hate his appearance, say, oh, he's not the type of guy we want, but we don't want Cena's merch sales declining. Hell, why do you think Dean Ambrose, who was usurping Cena's merch sales, isn't the top guy in the company? Same with Punk back in the day. You see, Kevin Dunn has a misguided viewpoint on what pro wrestling should be. At least, even though Vince McMahon is mad and doesn't sleep, at least he kinda knows. Kinda. Kevin Dunn doesn't. He doesn't have a clue. So yeah, I'd rather have him retire than get released because he'd need to basically be fucking Stephanie McMahon behind Triple H's back to get fired. At this rate. Hey, it happened to China, it might as well happen to Kevin Dunn as well. Now, tongue-twisting time for Shorororo Harurura. That's how you say it, Regina. I am just pointing that out. Should Vince retire now, or wait for Triple H to take over his toxic waste pool? Retire. Although, unfortunately, it's going to be on his deathbed. It's going to be. And I wouldn't call it a toxic waste pool if it's recently made Vince a billionaire again. See the problem? You see that? You can't call it a toxic waste pool if it's made him a billionaire again. It's working. Although I will say it's a toxic waste pool creatively. I could shove some things into things, but nonetheless, Vince will probably die, and that's what we're going to have to think about. We could hear any day now that Vince croaks, and how the hell are we going to react? Who knows? Now, with NJ, create your own authority stable using the current WWE roster, keeping Triple H and Stephanie as the figureheads. I had to really crush that down into a compact sentence. Okay, I've always said this, but if Seth Rollins wasn't part of the authority, they would go with a person who Triple H trusts and respects. Again, I would use Kevin Owens. He's that kind of douchebag heel, but unlike Rollins, he can get shit done, and they would be happy with it. I would need a big guy in that role, but there isn't that many big guys who WWE could use to really use that and inflate that. The only person I could use is a person like Bad News Barrett or Titus O'Neil to fit that hulking role. But then I could think, well, couldn't they just keep Kane in that role? Because I like him as the corporate guy. I don't mind it at all. I'd rather have that than Big Show, at least. And although I wish they could put David Otunga into this, because he's the type of person who would fill that Kane authority role. He can come out and do something, probably lose some matches, but he'll still have authority. He's a bloody lawyer. Put him to good use in a role that would fit him on screen, like John Laurinaitis had for him. I'd work that. Then we need 2 lower people to make a tag team out of. That's challenging, because you could pick members from the New Day, like Xavier Woods and Big E Langston, to fit the role. But wait, this is a Triple H, a McMahon authority stable. Would they really be that racially diverse? Of course, because Vince isn't involved. Yeah, I could be hit with a really bad lawsuit from saying this. Oh, well, it's my own opinion, who cares? So yeah, Kevin Owens, David Otunga, Titus O'Neil / Wade Barrett, and you then have possibly Xavier Woods and Big E Langston. I'd probably stick with that. I probably could pick other people, but I'm just going with what WWE give me now. So yeah, Kevin Owens will be very good in this role, I think. Ray Lott, is the Divas division making a comeback? Of course it bloody is. They get 2 matches a week on Raw, and we have women wrestlers who we like and are interested in. And there's a convoluted, massive story about dominating the division and having competition. That's a green light in my book. Now, Leon Pasquiote, how long before WWE treats Becky, Charlotte and Sasha like any other diva? They're not, because they are special. They're NXT, which means they're going to treat them well because they don't want to piss off Triple H. Simple. Simple as. I'm just waiting for the day that Bayley gets up. Then we can see some hugging happen. And people are probably going to lose their mind at the thought of this. Nonetheless, let's move on to Lino Gino. Again, I hope I get that right. Do you think a feminist stable would get over in WWE with the following divas? Nikki, Brie, Natty and Charlotte. The thing is, though, I wouldn't see Nikki and Brie being on the equality line. You know, kind of saying, oh, we're just as talented as the male performers. We should be given equal rights, fight for equal championships, and be better off as a whole in terms of wage and paying. You see, I don't see them doing that. They're pretty okay in their role being in the relationships of 2 of WWE's top guys and also being pampered to the hill. I think they're okay with how they're treated right now. The others, I can see Natty, I can see a lot of them. Emma, Sasha Banks. I could see all kinds of females, especially on the roster in NXT, doing that role. Of coming up and going, you know what? We're better wrestlers than a lot of the men. We can wrestle better matches than most of the men. We can do better stuff than them. Why not have us fight them? Seriously, I've always considered one wrestler, but I can never remember exactly which, to fill that Chyna-esque role. They could then say, from people like Chyna and Sable, made the women feel important in this business by us having equal footing with the men. Why can't we have that now? Oh, it's because it's PC health and safety bullcrap. Why not have them highlight this? Go after the men and beat the crap out of them. Sure, it'll be emasculating and some people will be annoyed by it, but my God, would it make entertaining television. It would work, I would love it to, if they book it right. But knowing WWE, I don't think they'd book it right. Not to mention, again, that health and safety bullcrap of perpetuating domestic violence by not having men fight women. Hey, it happens on the independent scene and it happens in Lucha Underground. You can do this, WWE. Just put your mind to it and it will work. Enough frickin' said. Now, Yappa Poker sent this question through of what I thought about Layla's retirement. The day that she retired was the day you sent the question in. Sorry, it's been a while for me to answer it, but nonetheless, I think it's sad, I feel, because Layla had so much potential. She worked her ass off, won the Divas Search, and after time, became Women's and Divas Champion. The problem I have is that she had so much potential, but always got injured right when they needed her. Michelle McCool leaves. They have a perfect opportunity for her to feud with Karma. She then gets injured. And then every time she returns, wins something, she gets injured again. And I feel there was a lot of lost potential, not to mention we had a first British woman winning something. Hooray for Britain. And I feel inevitably it was a lost opportunity. You know, there's a lot you can think about. Layla could have been a multiple-time champion, a figurehead for the division, and it never ended up being that way. It's just depressing for me, because as a Brit, I always support the British talent, but it could have been so much more. I'm really disappointed. I feel sad at Layla's retirement. Really do. Randy Bucetta, is Paige a tomboy? I can't really say. You know, visually on screen, you know, she isn't the prissy girly girl diva type that we have on screen. But the thing is, it doesn't really bother her. She doesn't mind that either. Because obviously she wears a lot of makeup and all that. I don't know. If I knew her personally, then maybe I could get an understanding of whether she is a tomboy or not. But if you don't have that, you have no real grounds to look at it. I mean, visually you'd say, oh, maybe she is a tomboy, but she's on Total Divas. I don't know, it's weird. It's a difficult question to answer, I'm sorry about that. Nonetheless, music harmony. What do you think of SummerSlam being 4 hours this year? Will it be 4 hours of good content or 4 hours of boredom? Depends on how they book it. So far, SummerSlam's looking pretty good card-wise. I mean, sure, a lot of multi-person tag matches, which means Teddy Long is probably going nuts going, why the hell did I leave this place? At least they're following my lead. Nonetheless, it depends. So far, the card looks good. I just wonder how they're going to book it. You've got all these matches, or multi-man matches, could last a good while, provide a good lot of suspense. They'll probably have a musical interlude in there somewhere. I think overall, if the matches are paced out well, they last long enough, and they tell all the story they need to, which for 4 hours should be good enough, hopefully it will work. Hopefully it will. Next, NJ. Let's say WWE goes down to 8 to 10 pay-per-views a year. What ones would you have and when would they be? Right, here is simple. I would stick at 8 because it means you can have some breaks from pay-per-views and let the wrestlers time to rest. You have January, Royal Rumble, no question. Do away with February, put WrestleMania in March, simple. Then April you have Payback. Then you take month of May off. Then you have June with King of the Ring. July is then off, and then you have SummerSlam. Then is where it gets a little bit interesting. You see, I wanted to fill out the rest of the dates. So the autumn could be the big bumper time. Make the autumn, which is usually a down period for wrestling, interesting. Put Unforgiven in September, then Night of Champions in October, and then you end with Survivor Series, and then you have the entirety of December off. No Raw, no SmackDown, no nothing. Have something to end the season, quote unquote, in a massive cliffhanger, so when you come back in late December, early January, you can then say, oh shit, I want to find out what the hell happens here. You've had a month to wait. Why not build it up properly? Makes sense, right? The wrestlers get a whole month at the end of the year off to chill, re-heal, and make everything good with their families, and then they come back, start it all over again, and it works out. Enough said. Nintendo Fanboy 1988. Do you watch Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground? I used to watch Lucha Underground. I felt at the beginning they should have introduced a championship in the first episode, because then I get to see what talent they have on offer through a tournament that ends over a couple of weeks, and then they have a champion crown at the end of the first month. Because once that first month ended, and there still wasn't a champion, I lost interest. I knew they put on good matches, and they had good gimmicks and backstage promos, but without a championship, I couldn't invest myself. I really couldn't, not to mention they were taping the episodes months ahead. So when I looked up the Fed and realised, oh crap, they've already booked and made a champion before I've even gotten to the point where they announce who the champion is. And it proved annoying for me, because I wanted to watch it, and I loved watching it while I did. But I just gradually, until that championship got involved, I lost interest. And I still haven't fitted it back into my weekly watching schedule. Ring of Honor, I watched a little bit when I started experimenting with TNA back in 2006-07. I didn't enjoy it on a presentation standpoint. At least TNA had that, okay? Ring of Honor, they've only really had a presentation standpoint in the last few years. And to put it bluntly, their product, outside of some good wrestling and a few feuds, isn't that entertaining for me. And not to mention their fans, as Dan from the British Fist has highlighted, can be insufferable. Just like WWE fans, but at least I can section myself away from them. Ring of Honor fans, yeesh, I don't want to touch anywhere near some of them. Ugh. Nintendo Fanboy 1998, thank you for that. I hope to God I can still watch Lucha Underground and catch up a bit. Now, final limits. Why is Big Show even still around? Good question, because I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Here's the problem. Big Show, retire. Please. You have nothing else to give. You've done pretty much everything you can in this business. Here is the thing. When you said this past week on Raw, you guys want somebody to not be retired? You know what? Someone come out here and retire me, then we'll talk. And then Ryback comes out. I said it to myself for months. Having Big Show retire at SummerSlam and have Ryback do it. You make Ryback and you give a send-off to Big Show in the same bloody place. It's great. You kill two birds with one stone. How good is that? And that's the thing. Big Show, you're awesome. But you're just not good for this type of WWE now. We like seeing fast-paced, exciting, story-driven matches. You don't give those. Sure, you surprised the crap out of me with your match against Roman Reigns, Extreme Rules, but that's the only good thing I've seen from you in at least 2 or 3 years' worth of entertainment on television. Not good. Not at all. Now, Bubblegum Favoured Steroids asked me a difficult question. What sizes of shoes does the Big Show and Great Khali wear? Great Khali? I'm not entirely sure about. No matter where I read, I couldn't really find anything. Big Show? I don't know if it's hyperbolized for television, but a 22 5E boot is the latest I could remember hearing. Escatero Compton, your thoughts on Adam Rose, and doesn't he remind you of British actor Russell Brand? Well, that's what Vince played it off as a gimmick because he's about 3 or 4 years behind culture. All that, I can't remember the bloody character's name now, Adasius Stone or something, from getting to the Greek and forgetting Sarah Marshall. That's what he based the gimmick off of. He was 4 or 5 years out for this. But nonetheless, it kind of works. I always say, I just wish they did more with it. You know, like I've always said, have Adam Rose go in and abduct someone to their parties, have a good time, and then have that wrestler get suspended for it, and then they end up having to fight over it. I've always said that's the one thing they never did with the character, and that's because they made him a face. Cheering and happy, never showing the results of his on-the-go, non-stop partying. They never had a direction with it. And then there's the bunny, I don't even say any more. He does remind me of Russell Brand because there's a reason behind it, but my god, Adam Rose, a character with potential that should have been used properly. Speaking of people who should have been used properly in some way or another, we have Little Fish, with wondering my thoughts on Marty Jannetty and whether I thought he could have been a better and bigger star than Shawn Michaels. Okay, this question would have been difficult for me to answer if I didn't see the other guy's WWE list on the network. This is the point. What matches can you remember Marty Jannetty being in? Have you had time to think? None. Seriously, Marty Jannetty, he was a consummate performer. He was an okay wrestler. I liked him on the mic. I just feel there's nothing about him that screams at you. Something's bigger than what he inevitably could have been. I mean, sure, he won the IC belt, and he won the tag titles with the man now known as X-Pac, which would have been a good team, actually. He never did anything worthwhile. The only thing I really properly remember him for was him tapping out to Kurt Angle in the Shawn Michaels feud that he had. And that's all I really remember. You know, Marty Jannetty, while he was a good performer with Shawn, had nothing else. And yeah, just Marty Jannetty, everybody. Not the kind of person you could really sit down and say, a big star. He never really fit the bill for me. Now again, Little Fish, your next question. Would a mentally retarded gimmick, again, your words, not mine, like Eugene get over today? No. I'm amazed it got over back in 2004. Seriously, this thing getting over now, you would have so many learning support, special needs, and disabled charities going at WWE and saying they're awful for it. And here is a good piece of evidence to back that up. I don't mean to sprinkle Friendship is Magic and My Little Pony into a wrestling question, but it works. The character of Derpy Hooves had wonky eyes and slurred speech-ish, and sounded like she kind of didn't have the faculty, because as a character, she was clumsy and a bit dumb. That's fine. But of course, learning support charities and parents, they went all crazy on it, saying it should be banned from television, it's disrespectful to disabled people, it's awful. Now think about it. If that happened with a cartoon with pastel-coloured ponies in it, imagine what would happen to WWE, a multinational conglomerate of entertainment and professional wrestling that makes millions. Think about it. That could be disastrous for PR and it will be terrible for them, okay? That would be a bad idea. You can see why they haven't done it since Eugene. Okay? Because Eugene was pushing boundaries on a really bad way, okay? It was awful. We know it. It was entertaining, but awful. Okay? And I can see why WWE do not want to tackle that again. Because it's going to be really bad for them. Well, I cannot believe I've just factored in My Little Pony into a wrestling question, but there we go, I've actually done it. Now, NJ, out of the current roster, forgetting what WWE has done with their careers and built them, who would you have as the top babyface and heel of the company? Heel is Owens, no frickin' doubt. But then the face. See, here is the problem. Owens as a heel. But then Ambrose as a heel. But then Ambrose as a face too. Like, the thing is, when you're trying to think of who is the top of the company, who can sell? Here's the thing. Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. Similar body type, good wrestling, good feuds, intensity, past history. But then I think Roman Reigns could get the job done too as the face, but he could do a decent job as a heel too. But Roman Reigns versus Owens, I'd actually like to see. Seriously, the wrestling family, brought up in the industry, hard-working guy, wants to go over a guy who is hard-working in a completely different sense, has family tied to him, they fight for similar ethics, but they do it in different ways. I'd love to see that, and that would be a brilliant feud at the top of this company for years to come. Let's hope they do it. Then we have John Cunkt. I only realised recently, why you call yourself John Cunkt? You want to say John C-word, but inevitably you couldn't, so you got around the censor. Nice freaking job. Now, what if WWE gave the New Day a boy band gimmick, like 3 Count from WCW, where they lip-sync random songs? Here's the problem with it, actually. One, it would be ripping off Jimmy Fallon's lip sync battle, or is it Jimmy Kimmel? I can't remember which one of the two. They have lip sync battle. They'll be ripping off that, and it will be annoying a lot of people for doing so. And second of all, how much money would they have to pay to a band to get their song in full? Yeah, there's a huge problem there. It's going to cost a lot of money if they did it every single week, twice a week, including pay-per-views. That would not work, money-wise, for them. They would have to be shelling out money for one-off usages. Not to mention on pay-per-view, if they did it, they'd have to pay all the royalties and licensing fees for that. It wouldn't be good. It would be a really big loser in money. But my god, it would be entertaining, though. I could see it getting over, and it would be very fun, because if they were faces, they would be doing some awesome songs that people like. Heels, they can take the piss out of almost any song they want to and get heat from people instantly. Justin Bieber, for example. Nonetheless, Rico, in all the time you've watched wrestling, who is the most dangerous wrestler you've ever seen in the ring? I could say Abdullah. I could say Dick the Bruiser from archive footage. I could say Hardcore Holly, because you would want to meet him in an alley. You could say Brock Lesnar. You could say Haku, obviously. Umaga. You could say Andre because he's freaking huge. There are so many. But there is one person who stands out above the rest. New Jack. I am sorry, that guy is not a wrestler. He's just a thug who wants a fight. And I don't want to be anywhere near him. Hell, I don't even be standing in the same room as him, let alone in the same ring. Okay? New Jack? You got a few screws loose, buddy. You're a bit insane. The fact that you have joy from beating wrestling fans and wrestlers up to the point where they are bloody pulps and have no sympathy for their well-being, you're messed up in the head. I'm sorry to put it bluntly, you are messed up in the head, pal. Ugh, I don't want to go near you. And also, New Jack, if you ever happen to be watching this, don't take my criticism too heavily. We all hate your ass in the world of professional wrestling. Okay, let's get back to the questions, away from what could end up resulting in my death later on if he ever actually watches this. Okay, let's see. Ray Lott, are you shocked on how Undertaker looks compared to last year? You know what, I kind of am. He looked quite bad last year, including that goatee, which looked awesome, but not working with a mohawk. Honestly, Taker looks in good shape. Surprised he got himself in good shape to begin with, but overall he's done pretty well for himself. Can't go wrong with it, I like it. Now, Leno Gino, seriously, if you can tell me how to say your name right, I can get it right for the second part if some questions made in there. Should WWE have pushed Darren Young, punished Darren Young when he decided to come out as a homosexual last year? No, they shouldn't have. For two reasons. One, it's 2015. Okay, it's 2015. Why would you punish someone for letting their sexuality out in public? Especially in wrestling of all things. This was a big thing. Darren Young, the first openly gay person in the WWE. That is huge. I mean, it benefited his career to a degree, but for God's sake, WWE realised it and went, you know what? Secondly, if we punish this guy, not only will it show our Republican tendencies, but second of all, it'll show us to be massive homophobes and be a PR disaster. They don't want that, as WWE highlights. They don't want to have PR problems. So, yeah, punishing him would have done nothing for them. Well, I always wish, though, they could have done something more with Darren Young. But then again, after what happened with the Glad stuff and Billy and Chuck, I can kind of see why they didn't want to take it anywhere. And they just didn't mention it. They didn't mention it, they haven't done anything with it, he's just who he is. Which is exactly how people should view homosexuals, transsexuals, anyone. Just, they're normal people, they're doing what they want to do. Leave them be and just let them do it. You don't need to go into huge arguments about it. I don't know why I keep going into rants of these things. Now, from Mike Thomas, my brother. Good to know he put some questions in here. I was a bit surprised. If given the chance, do you think CM Punk would return to the WWE? Yeah, I do. But there's only one thing that will make him speak, and that is the power of the monies. You see, I understand it. Punk slams wrestling all he wants, but Vince wants him back one day. He's open for it. Triple H, not so. And the thing is, if Punk's UFC career goes well, the amount of money he can make, it's fantastic. Not to mention the crossover potential, because we've already had Lesnar in there. We've had the rumours about, who's that guy? I can't remember his bloody name. But you've also got Ronda Rousey saying, oh, hell yeah, I'd like to get involved someday. I'd love to be involved in the WWE, because she loves it. She asked permission for Rowdy Roddy Piper to have the Rowdy name in her bloody ring name. So you see, you've had Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. You've had Brock Lesnar come back and demolish. It would be foolish for WWE to say no to CM Punk, even if he makes a ton of money. Hell, UFC are already gaining from what WWE did to Punk in terms of getting the publicity going for him. They're the same for Lesnar. So, they have to. Punk will probably only have to go back under his own steam. He doesn't want to do it, fine. But if he does it, it'll be his decision alone. Enough said. Now, Yelp Poker, it had to be you giving me a Deluxe Man question. Hallelujah. What video did my boy Deluxe Man do this year that you agreed or disagreed with? You probably sent this one to me last time I did a Q&A back in December, January. I can see you asking a similar question here. You see, I haven't been watching a lot of Deluxe Man's work. I don't feel, as an analyst, as a critic, he's doing his job. Because the next question that follows, he's too negative. He's too one-sided when it comes to certain wrestlers. And I think it's for me as an analyst, as a person who watches and critiques WWE, I have to find a middle ground everywhere. From feuds, to gimmicks, to pay-per-view showings, to matches, I have to find a middle ground somewhere. But if something is bad, I will say it's bad. If it's good, I will kiss the ground McMahon and his family walk on. But you see, with the Deluxe Man, the thing with him is, there was one video this year that I literally went, I'm not watching much of your content again. And my dog's barking, yay. Because agreeing with me is all good, even on an animal form. Nonetheless, here is the problem. He had a go in the Money in the Bank review that Kevin Owens is going to lose the next match, he's going to get buried in everything. He absolutely despises it. My response to that was simple. How can it be a bad thing if the guy was walking out with the championship, even though he didn't win it, and he put Cena out for a couple of weeks? How is that bad? Not to mention, look at Owens now. He's still doing good. He's not. Just because he isn't the champion or fighting for the top, like I said earlier, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Seriously. And it's that annoying thing that just because Cena beats someone, it immediately is bad. That, from him, a person who I at one point respected for his opinions, it flat out annoyed me. I was saying, look, Deluxe Man, I'll keep an eye on your content in case something changes, and not to mention all that Daniel Bryan stuff, which counteracted with what Spaz Phoenix said, which combined with that made me think, well, I'm not touching either of them because they're too one-sided for me. And I go into the next question, asked by Real Harold, do you think that the Lexman is too negative or good mic work is too positive? Yeah, the Lexman is incredibly negative sometimes, and it really bothers me. And when he's positive, yeah, it's somewhat tolerable, I guess, but doesn't go into that much detail with his work, so yeah. Then you look at good mic work, who I love, if anyone doesn't know. I find he is too positive sometimes, but at least he keeps it in the middle ground, okay? That middle ground where I occupy is you can analyse it, pick it apart, and find your footing and stick with it. It's not too far on one side in some cases, it's not too far on one side. But it's there, it's telling what you need to tell, and it gets the point across. I find sometimes, obviously because of the Nikki Bella stuff, maybe he is a bit too positive in that front. But when am I going to expect it? It's going to happen either way. I feel sometimes he can be overly positive, like for example the Battleground review. I mean, a 6 out of 10, are you freaking insane? But then again, opinion is opinion. So I find he can be too positive and sometimes be a little blind to how bad something is, but that really depends subjectively on what it is, because we all have different opinions. But yeah, Lexman, you are too negative sometimes, pal. I would have said it to your face, but I have social anxiety problems. I have a hard time talking to anyone who I don't often talk to. So if you're hearing this, or one of your fans hears this and rats me out to you and says I've said this, I apologise if I've offended you, but damn. I'm just saying, sometimes you kind of need to stop being overly critical and kind of see the bigger picture sometimes. And not think about it as what you want, but inevitably how you think the company will do something. It's the reason why I like good Mike Quirk's analysis, because it fits with how an unbiased analyst or critic in sport would work. And that's how I like it. So, just saying, pal. Anyway, the final wrestling question from John Kunkt. What are your favourite matches of the year so far? Now, on pay-per-view, there is no doubt here. It is Money in the Bank 2015. If you saw the review, it is Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, ladder match for the WWE Championship. 5 frickin' stars. I'm not even touching that. Television? Pretty much any match that John Cena's been in the last year. Not to mention the Cesaro matches and that triple threat that Owens, Cesaro and Rusev had. Oh my god, if I wasn't in a hotel lobby watching that, I'd freak the crap out. But that's pretty much my favourite matches of the year. There aren't that many, but I would definitely say on pay-per-view I know what my main one is. On Raw I know what my main one is. Fitting. Now we enter onto sport. Miscellaneous sport. Now, Ray Lott, what are your predictions for Ipswich Town in the upcoming year? Now, we've already had the first league match, which ended in a shocking draw, and we won in the cup earlier this week. I always say this, if we end up in the top 10, I'm happy with a good finish there. If it's anywhere above and we get promoted or in the playoffs, it's a bonus. So I always stick with that. I always go for top 10 and nothing lower. If it's lower, I'll be disappointed, but inevitably it works out badly. So there we go. Now, speaking of Ipswich, I have Mike Copeland asking me, have I been to an Ipswich game in person before? Of course I have. Don't you notice that framed t-shirt there? There's some season tickets in it. I've been a season ticket holder from 2005 through to 2013 when I was going into my second year at university. I couldn't make it back home regularly enough. And yeah, I've seen some ups and downs. I've seen some great matches over the past nearly 10 years. It's been fantastic. And I'm actually going off to the Sheffield Wednesday game this weekend. In fact, by the time this goes out on probably Saturday, I would have probably already seen the game. So hooray, hopefully we'll win on that one. Your next football-related question, Mike Copeland. What are my thoughts on Mike Ashley, the owner of Newcastle United, who apparently at one point, due to rumour mill, was going to sell the company to Vince McMahon? Nonetheless, Mike Ashley, I have to point this out to you. If you're not willing to shell money out and make your team successful, why the hell do you want your team to be successful? I know it's not good to shell that Sports Direct money out on players, but you've only just started doing it. That's why I've got good hopes for Newcastle under Steve McLaren this year. Your team, with Wijnaldum from PSV and lots of other good players that you've signed, they look good. Use them, and you could have something good on your hands this year. Just, it's only now you've realised, after 2 or 3 relegation scares that you need to shape your squad up? It took you long enough, damn it. I don't like it when a football team's fans parade that their owner should be thrown out or sacked. Your club isn't in debt. They haven't been relegated. Why are you complaining? You're getting TV money out the arse in the Premier League. If you're in, like, Blackpool, where you've been relegated to League One, you had to basically release every player bar 6 and didn't have a full squad when the season started, and then you get relegated on top of that with your fans wanting your head after you remove a statue of their most beloved player. Yeah, I would want your owners out. If the owner is wanting to change their name, and because he doesn't get the job done, he puts the club up for sale because he can't get his own way like the whole City chairman, yes, I'd be pissed. But your club is still in the Premier League, and you're all good. You've got good players, you've got good managers. Just because you don't win a trophy for insert how many years, doesn't mean you get the right to complain. You're in the Premier League. Suck it up and live with it. I've been in the bloody Championship with Ipswich for 15 bloody years. I would kill for what Newcastle have. But inevitably, I have to live with it and just get on with it. So have you, Newcastle fans. Your owner does a job, just let him get on with it. Damn it. That will turn into a rant I wasn't expecting. Now, on to cartoons, because miscellaneous sport is a small little fractured little piece. Here we go. Mike, my brother, asking me, who's your favourite character from Steven Universe who isn't a gem? Easy. Sadie. Mostly because I love the name, but also just nice having a nice, good female character in there. I mean, a lot of the other characters just flat out irritate me, and you know because you've seen this show with me. I feel Sadie just offers a nice emotional balance to some of the characters, and also, she's just a really kind character. She isn't just an overt personality like every single other character in the show. Just like Connie, actually. And it's a very nice character to watch. I just hope we see more of her, because for God's sake, we haven't seen enough of her in the last load of episodes. Now, Rico, with your anime question here, what got you into anime? And inevitably, this is a bit of a problem. My computer's just shut off. Oh no. No, it hasn't. It's back. Yay! Let me repeat myself. What got you into anime, and how did you find it different from Western genres? That was a mouthful. Nonetheless, what got me into anime? The works of Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. I have a countdown to make for my favourite films out of that studio. I cannot wait to make it. And inevitably, okay, sure, I watched Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Sonic X, Shin-Chan, Monster Rancher, Medabots, back in the day on Fox Kids Jetix when I was a kid, and it was brilliant. I love anime because it's the thing about anime that makes it different from Western animation, and those shows highlight it, the genre diversity. The structure and design of the characters' bodies, facial expressions, and everything else in between. Western animation keeps things very rooted in kids, where you have a specific type of thing. It's either shelling out toys to you, it's action-packed, or it's slice of lifey with normal things. You know? Simple. Simple as. But with anime, you can make anything an anime. You can make a mobile game, an anime with some action, with some drama, with some comedy. You can throw in all kinds of things. You can throw in multiple explosions. They're good for everyone, not just kids, but for adults, for older people. They make anime for everyone. They make it for everyone, for all kinds of genres, and they make it expressive, emotional, and they make it all good. And not to mention, it's not on specific cartoon channels. It's on mainstream television, on normal networks. We don't even get that now in this country of Britain. We don't even get that now. And that's the thing. Anime looks to be much more sophisticated on paper, but when you look at how it's distributed, how it's marketed, it's done in a much better way. Cartoons are amazing. Western animation is great when done right, but it's difficult to market. And a lot of people have shoehorned themselves into the idea that animation is for children. It isn't. Animation's for everyone, damn it. And I hope Western animation houses and studios get out of their heads, because I'm getting sick of it. Speaking of being sick of something, what's your opinion on the classification between anime and Western cartoons coming from, again, my brother, Mike? The thing with the classification of that anime is anime in this country, but it means animation in every other country, is annoying to think about, because that's a good diverse genre. The anime is animation, but here it's the stylized Japanese thing. And inevitably, Western cartoons, if they're anime overseas, they've got to be over here too. And like I said in Rico's question, anime is better made, better structured, better marketed. The classification of anime being for everyone and Western cartoons being for children is flat out insulting. And you look at that in that way, that Western cartoons need to be marketed much better, because if they don't, bad things are going to happen and we're going to lose an art form, because it's not on terrestrial networks anymore normally. That's depressing. Really is. Now, Rico, another anime question from you here, and it's the last of those. What would be your ultimate anime crossover? Now, this is a bit difficult for me because I am a person who loves slice of life, which, to those of you who aren't anime fans and have absolutely no idea what slice of life is, it is just normal things happening. It's normal life done right. It is, in the case of the anime I watch, cute girls doing cute things in cute ways. Because moe and cuteness is what gets me into a lot of anime these days. And I feel it's difficult to really pick a slice of life crossover that I'd be happy with, because each series is different. I only started watching Usagi Drop today, and on this day of recording, and that is completely different with most of the slice of lives I watch. So, how would I do this? Would I put Is This Order a Rabbit crossing over with Kinera Mosaic? Would I cross over those Kinera Mosaic with Wakaba Girl, because they are made by the same studio and the same writer? Would I cross over a show like an action type show, like a Gundam crossing over with Neon Genesis? Would be kind of interesting. Would I cross over a Ruby with a Sailor Moon? That's not even an anime in Ruby's case, but you know what I mean. It's difficult. It really is. I think a crossover that I'd be happy with would be a weird one. I don't understand where this would fit in anywhere. They'd have to find a way of making it work. It will be entertaining and fun to watch, but Survival Game Club and Gintama. I'm not a huge fan of Gintama, okay? But the one thing that made Survival Game Club interesting, it was wild, random, and crazy. For a slice of life shooting anime, that was good. It worked. And Gintama is just all kinds of crazy. So you put the characters from Sabagebu, Survival Game Club, with the characters of Gintama, you're going to have a fun time no matter what you do. So, I don't like Gintama that much. I can blame my brother for putting me off it. But I can see where the humour would come from. I can see how entertaining it would be. And oh my god, it would be so fun. Now, to end this off, still on the animation front, we're on the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic questions. Because yes, I actually got some. I got the same amount as I did last time. Depressing as is. Now, we have Nature Girl 30 asking, what are your favourite Season 5 episodes? This season has been flip-floppy. It's had some fantastic ones, and it's had some stinkers. And I feel, for me, the opening two-parter of the Cutie Map is pretty much up there, one of my favourite episodes. Mostly because they dealt with brainwashing communist-style cults. When are you going to see this? You wouldn't have expected that in that show, let alone a normal cartoon. It's insane. And it was so well done. I just wish it ended better. But nonetheless. And then the other episode we have, The Lost Treasure of Griffinstone, which was action-packed, but reintroduced a character I hate, so inevitably that's a middle grounder for me. But I think the winner, Slice of Life. 100 episodes, they celebrated it by giving the fans all they could stomach, and inevitably it was the funnest episode I've seen in a long time from this show. The problem is, it's caused a burnout where I haven't enjoyed pretty much any episode they've done afterwards. Although, Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep had a Ghibli reference. It had a Mononoke reference. I couldn't keep my eyes off that one. It was entertaining and fun. The rest of them, hopefully, come September 19th, when the second part of the season kicks off, we get to see a lot of more good stuff. Oh shit. That was lightning, everybody. Thunderstorms. Oh boy. Okay, If the light goes, that's why, okay? Fitting. Right, I can finish this before the lightning and the thunder takes us out. 14 Jammer. Who would win in a magic fight, Trixie or the Baby Cakes, and why? Here's a problem with this one, okay? You have the Baby Cakes, one of them being a unicorn, who cannot control his or her magic at all. One of them isn't even a unicorn, so that wouldn't work out. But then you have Trixie, a unicorn who can use magic, just not very well. So, here's the point. You've got a unicorn who's uncontrollable and probably couldn't win in a magic fight to save his or her own life, because I can't remember which one has the magic. And then you have Trixie, who can use it to a degree, but can't do well with it, as experienced before. I would say Trixie, because as shown in Ghostbusters, she's pretty proficient with rope. She could tie up the kids, and probably lock them in a box and defeat them that way. And again, they did manage to get out of Pinkie Pie's grasp with rope and chains in that episode. So the Baby Cakes could overpower her and destroy her logically. So I'd probably go with that. Baby Cakes win because they are overpowered, uncontrollable crazies of babies. Enough said. And finally, Rico. The last question as we just hit the hour mark. If you had an MLP character based on you, what would its episode be? I have always said for myself a name for a pony version of myself would be Vocal Analyst, because I am. And I think the character would obviously be brought in to come to Ponyville and, obviously critique the place. Quite liberally. And people don't like it. And inevitably, he slams Ponyville as an awful place with maybe whenever the first impressions he get completely and utterly ruined. And that gets done so. And inevitably, it's up to the Princess of Friendship to make him understand that his words are incredibly hurtful, and he should lift this critical mindset and see the world for what it is. A wonderful, friendship-filled place. And I think that will be a very fun episode, because not only would that, if it was voiced by and based on me, I could inevitably go crazy and break the fourth wall multiple times and rip the show apart itself, which would be brilliant. And logically, it would be great, hopefully. So there we have it, guys. It's been a quick 1 hour, but we still have over 50 questions to go. Oh boy, I hope you've all enjoyed the questions that I've asked, and so far, if you want to keep up with the next part and wait until the next one comes out, if you can't wait, like I can't, to record and upload the thing, then if you want to get those questions sent to you pronto, all you have to do is click that subscribe button down there, and it'll all be good. The second part should come out sometime next week, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as I have answering these questions. Next time, we'll have video games, we'll have music and entertainment, we'll have the news, and my personal life, which is all well and good. Guys, I've been Freddie Thomas, you've been people watching. This has been the part 1 of the summer Q&A for 2015, and I hope you'll all be back next time, because I am looking forward to your custom once again. Cheers!